Hey, what's up? DFS Rico coming at you with my picks and insight for this DraftKings MLB 11 game slate on Saturday, July 25th. We got a 11 game slate again. It's a pretty good slate. Yesterday went pretty solid for me. I didn't make a video. I did do one over in my Patreon. I do have a Patreon where I do just go into a deeper video breaking down the slate, picking more. This is more so for, like cash or smaller entry contests. If you want to go deeper in GPPs and stuff, I do a longer video over there on my Patreon for $10 a month, which isn't too bad. I think for the reward that you can probably get in the long term, but not going to guarantee I'm going to win you money, but I can give you some good insight and good spots to be different and, to pivot off of the guys that people are going to be playing. And in baseball, we all know it has a lot of variances sport. You could play all the best players in baseball, but they can still go out there and get you 0 points, in the best matchup. That's just how baseball works. So you got to be flexible and willing to take chances in baseball. That's usually my approach to it. But yeah, let's get to it. We got this nice 11-game slate. All I'm really going to talk about, I have a couple pitchers I want to talk about that I like, and then I'm going to go into my bats, into a stack that I really like, and then, yeah, let's get to it. All right, first thing I like to do, I like to go over and look at some starting lineups, look at the over-unders, and look at the implied run totals. Early on, we notice, same thing as yesterday, Boston's one of the highest with 5.92. We don't have the implied run total for the Chicago and Milwaukee game, which is actually the one I'm interested in. St. Louis with 5.05. We got Minnesota pretty high up there. Those are some of the teams I think will be higher owned. Philly in a really good matchup versus Caleb Smith. We all know how good the Dodgers are. We all know how good Houston is with 6.09. Houston actually comes in with the highest run implied total. I do like them as well, but I'm going to try to not state the obvious picks. I mean, you got Houston, you got Philly, you got the Dodgers. We all know those guys are going to be very high owned. So the team I'm really looking at right now, I'm really looking at Chicago. They are going to probably be playing a bullpen matchup versus Corbin Burns. Corbin Burns isn't the best pitcher. Going over to plate IQ, I really like what I'm seeing from Chicago and not from Corbin Burns. If you look at Corbin Burns' WOBA versus left-handed, 0.515, 0.373. Same thing with the right hand. He's not really good. I don't think he plays a lot of innings. He probably plays 1 or 2 innings. I get that. But there's not really much they could do. They can go back to a right-handed pitcher and just try to go against, Rizzo, Schwarber, Hayward. Or you can go to a left-handed hitter and get punished by Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, Contreras. It's kind of like a which way do you want to lose type game, in my opinion. So I really am interested in Chicago. I'm kind of hoping they stick with a right-handed pitcher. You got Bryant up top. Not the best, but the guy I'm really interested on is Rizzo, 0.240 ISO, 0.407 WOBA. Has a really low strikeout percentage, a really high walk percentage, 12.1% walk. He's getting on base. He's creating contact, 79.7% contact, which is very good. His hard hit, 39.4. I don't think he'll get you bombs like too often, but he's just a good hitter versus right-handed pitching. And like I showed you, Burns isn't the best versus left-handed hitters. So I do like Rizzo. Obviously, I like Baez if they try to swap it up and go to a left-handed pitcher. He's still solid versus right-handed pitchers. But I like Schwarber. I like all the left-handed bats for sure. I like Schwarber. I like Hayward. I like Caratini at the catcher spot just because I think he's good. He's a switch hitter, so even if whichever way they decide to go, he's still pretty solid on both sides. I was checking that out. Hayward does get a little drop down going against left-handed pitchers, which makes sense, obviously, but he's not too bad. So it just kind of depends which way these guys decide to go. Burns isn't the best. You see his strikeout percentage versus right-handed, 38.3%, 18.6 versus left-handers. His walk percentage is 16.7, hard hit, 47.7. I know he doesn't have that many appearances. I mean, 102 plate appearances. I think that's a pretty good sample size. And then 133 versus right-handed. So I do like that. Just going over to DraftKings. The stack that I really like, obviously I'm talking about Chicago. Looking over the hitters. The way I would start my stack is with Rizzo, Baez. You can go Schwarber, but I know it gets a little pricey because some of the pitchers I like are a little pricier. And then, or you can go with Hayward. Obviously, I mentioned he's a good solid left-handed bat. You even got down low. Oh, not down low. I'm tripping. Caratini right there. You could put him at first base. Well, you can't with Rizzo, but you could put him at catcher if you decide not to play Rizzo for some odd reason, if you want to just be different. I think Rizzo will have a decent ownership today. His numbers pop really well. I think, in my opinion, I don't think he'll have team stack ownership for Chicago like crazy, but I think it'll be some solid one-offs. I like Caratini just because he's 3.3K, and it lets you pay up for some pitchers or lets you pay up for other batters in different spots. And with this, like, you got three. You got the switch hitter. You got Rizzo with the left-handed, and you got Javi Baez with the right-handed, which I do really like all three of these guys. Caratini's just more of a salary saver. You're going to have to save some money, you know. And you can either go with Schwarber or Hayward just to round out your stack. If you like to play a 5-man stack or if you want to play a mini stack, I understand that as well. It just kind of depends where you want to go from here. I like filling it in with some of the cheaper, like, you know, Boston bats, Minnesota bats, or just some of these cheaper bats. Houston, maybe the catcher. If you don't want to play Caratini, you could bounce over to Hayward. Just things like that. You got to be a little different. We all know the higher owned stack, so I don't really want to go through all of them because we know Boston. You look at the run implied total, and a lot of people just go based off of that. But like I mentioned, baseball, you really want to... I'm not going to say chalk doesn't hit, but chalk does hit sometimes. But I feel in baseball, in a sport that's just so variant, you want to take chances, and that's what I like to do. I'm not going to act like Chicago's like the craziest, you know, chance, but it's decent enough to be different. You don't have to be different too much, and you can still kind of fill in with spots. If you do like Boston, just fill in with them. Houston, Dodgers, Minnesota, those are some of the teams I'm really interested in myself. But yeah, whichever way you want to go from there, I like that little core. Going back over to pitchers, you got Darvish up top with 10.5K. He has like a 31% strikeout percentage. He is going against Milwaukee. I was looking at that matchup. He's in a very good matchup. You got about 1, 2, 3. You got kind of split down the middle with left-handed and right-handed, but he's really good versus left-handed. His ISO is very good versus right-handed. He's very good on both sides. His strikeout percentage is 36% versus right-handed, so he's obviously a little better. His hard hit percentage is a lot lower versus right-handed, so I do like Darvish up top at 10.5. But personally, I like Wheeler a little more at 10.1. Looking over some of his numbers, bouncing over to where is he at? Ooh, I should have had it open. Right here we got Wheeler versus Miami. Miami's not that good of a team. Wheeler, 23.6% strikeout percentage, but you look at him versus left-handed and right-handed, he's pretty solid. He struggles a little versus left-handed, you see that, but versus right-handed, 0.267 WOBA, 0.113 ISO, 23% strikeout percentage. His hard hit is very low, 28.7%. If you go over to this team, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right-handed batters, 6 out of 9, which is very good for him. Villar and Dickerson are really the only ones I would worry about. Even Diaz isn't really that good at the left-handed side. So it's not really a lot of bats you need to worry about on this team. Maybe, like I said, maybe you get a home run off Dickerson or Villar, but not too much in my opinion that you need to worry. So I do like Wheeler. I think he's a little safer. I mean, I thought the same thing with Nola yesterday. Nola did pretty solid, but the game just got away from him for a little bit. So he kind of struggled a little bit. And the next guy I really want to talk about, which he didn't pitch last year, is Lance McCullers Jr. At 8.5K. I do really like him for my 2 starting pitchers. There's no numbers on him on like plate IQ or anything, but if you bounce over to StatMuse, it has his numbers from 2018, the last time he really pitched, versus left-handed bats. He was 0.177 batting average, 0.271 on base percentage, even against right-handed bats, 0.251 batting average, 0.325 on base percentage. Really good. I think he was 10 10-4 this season. 10-6 this season. 4.00 ERA. Solid strikeouts. Doesn't give too many. He had over a strikeout per inning, about 1.1 strikeouts per inning. So he was pretty solid. I don't have an issue with him. I think he's good. I like him at 8.5K. He's playing against a very bad team, the Mariners. We all know they're probably one of the worst teams in baseball this season. So it's a team I'm going to be looking at targeting a lot this season. They're just not that good across the board. Looking at a lot of these guys, the left-handers, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left-handers on this. And like I was showing you over on the stats, he's a little better versus left-handed. So if they're going to be rolling out that many left-handed bats, I really like Lance McCullers, pairing him up with Wheeler. And I like the Chicago stat, Caratini, Rizzo, Javi Baez, and you can just go a lot of different ways from there. I know you have 3.7, so you can also pay down, like I said, for Hayward, and then you'll have to get a little cheaper, some filler, and then you'll be able to pay up for somebody when I was messing around with the lineup. But this is just the lineup I'm looking at. Obviously, like I said, I did mention Boston. We know they're going to be high owned. We know who to play if you're playing them. But I just want to be a little different. If you just want to, and I think this lineup could be pretty solid, and it can give you some upside because I think it will go lower owned than some of these other teams. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate you just even watching it, even if you just click on it. I appreciate it, guys. And get over to